And just to get it out of the way, I'm going to start with one of the biggest disappointments for me this year, which is The Witcher. And I already know what you expect, that I'm going to sit here and complain about Henry Cavill being replaced by Liam Hemsworth. But to be honest with you, this is nowhere near the biggest flaw of the series or this season. But sure, let's complain about Hemsworth for a little bit. I don't like him, okay? I don't like him as Geralt. I think he didn't really try to act as Geralt. He tried to act as Henry acting as Geralt, and it shows. And I honestly think that maybe the producers or the directors or whoever wanted him to be as similar to Cavill as possible, just so that people won't complain that the character changed a lot. But it did end up looking like a guy in a cosplay trying to act as Cavill. That's all I'm saying. And it's not the only problem with Geralt. I made a whole video about his wig. So if you are interested in that, it's going to be linked somewhere here. Yeah, the wig is really bad and the costume is really bad as well. But okay. It's not because of the budget, because The Witcher had a budget of 221 million, so it was around 27 million per episode. So it's obviously a lot of money that they could have done a lot of good things with, and we ended up with this. So I don't know what to say here. I didn't like other costumes, like I didn't like Ciri's costume as well. I did like Yennefer, I think. But generally speaking, the costume department of The Witcher is not like the best. There are other problems, obviously, like how book accurate this season or this show generally is. I'm not really going to discuss it very deeply because I haven't read the books in quite a while, actually. But what stood out the most to me is the relationship that Ciri has with Messel, because in the show, it's nowhere near as creepy as it was in the books. Because in the books, Ciri is supposed to be like 13 to 15 right now, and Missile is older. Like, I always assumed she was around like 16 to 20. And in the book, this relationship, like, Ciri isn't very much in love with Missile. She's more in love with the idea of not being alone. And Missile kind of uses Ciri a little bit. And I really missed that element in the show, especially since they could have done it. Like, they had time to do it. Because this season, I feel like it drags certain storylines for too long for, like, no apparent reason. And then it cuts off important stuff. Like what I said, the relationship between Ciri and Missile is very disingenuous in my opinion, and they could have done better. And the pacing this season is incredibly slow. Like, the same happened in season 3, I think, where they just drag those storylines for no reason and they leave out the important stuff. And I really do think this relationship between Missile and Ciri was important for, like, Ciri's character, and it wasn't shown very well, and they could have done it. That's all I'm saying. All in all, this show isn't like terrible, it's just not good. I mean, if you read the books, you are not going to like it. If you played the games, you're not going to like it. And then you have people who, get introduced to The Witcher through the show. And I don't think they would like it either, because it just looks cheap. Compare it to like House of Dragon, for example. Like, The Witcher just looks cheap. So I don't know who this show is trying to appeal to. But still, it's not like horrible. Like, it could have been worse. I thought it was going to be much worse, to be honest with you. That's why it's going into the D tier, because I expected it to be worse, and because it's The Witcher, so I couldn't really put it in F tier. So it's going to the D tier. Wouldn't recommend, to be honest. But still, it's not the biggest disappointment for me this year, because, like I said, I did kind of expect The Witcher to be bad. And what I didn't expect to be bad was White Lotus. I thought season 1 and 2 were great. Honestly, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed watching them. They were funny, and the endings were just strong. And this season is like, it's not funny at all, first of all, which, like, White Lotus had their like own type of humor that just disappeared in season 3. On top of that, the characters aren't very interesting. I mean, I really like the cast. They hired some great actors for the season, but the characters are honestly just nothing to write home about. Maybe except Jason Isaacs' Timothy, because he is kind of an interesting character. He's very like troubled by his work, and he's like ready to sacrifice his family so they don't have to be poor. Like, it's an interesting character. I really liked him, but other than him, really no one interesting. But I think the season is so disappointing because season 1 and 2 were great, especially in terms of the ending. Now, I don't want to spoil too much for you if you haven't watched it, but I think those deaths that happen at the end weren't very much like deserved. And also there were a lot of storylines building throughout the show that didn't kind of lead anywhere at the end. Overall, it's going into the F tier because it was the most disappointing show for me this year, and honestly, I don't know if I'm even going to watch season 4 because I don't know, maybe Jennifer Coolidge was like the X factor of White Lotus, and now with her gone, it's just nothing interesting, that's it. But let's move on to something that I genuinely enjoyed and can recommend, and that show is From. Now, season 1 of the show premiered in 2022, but season 3 was dropped this year, and this year is also when I discovered the show, and it's honestly one of my favorites. This show isn't very popular, so I'm going to kind of tell you what the storyline is. Basically, there is this town that traps anyone who enters, so once you get there, you cannot leave. And at night, the residents of this town get haunted by those creatures that look like humans but aren't actually humans. And the whole show is about, discovering the secrets of this town and obviously also trying to get out of there. I definitely like how complex this show is. I mean, the characters are built very, very well, and this whole like supernatural aspect is also very multi-layered. My favorite part of the show is probably like trying to figure out how the town came to exist, what those creatures are, and all this stuff. And the thing about the show is that it's very slow. Like, we are discovering the secrets very, very slowly. Like, we are like 3 seasons in and we barely know anything about the town, but there is a lot of happening, generally speaking, so the show is not boring, like it drags out this aspect of like discovering the secrets because it's very hard to like find out that like the right information and whatever, but at the same time there's so much happening that you almost understand why it's taking the characters so long to discover what's going on, because they have to fight for their life all the time. I even watched it 2 times in a row. The first time I watched it because I was trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything, that I understand what's going on, and maybe I can figure out the secret on my own before the new season comes out. I haven't managed to, or at least I think so. We'll see in season 4. Anyway, it's a great watch. Would recommend, especially if you it's a little bit of like a horror TV show, but it's not very scary, to be honest. Like, if you are afraid of jump scares, then you should be okay. It's not scary in that way. So I would recommend it to anyone, and it's going into the S tier. And while we're talking about the best shows of the year, we obviously have to talk about Adolescence. I think at this point everyone's either seen it or heard about it, so I'm not going to get into the details too much. If you haven't watched it for some reason, it's a show about a teenager who killed his friend from school, not in school. And I think the show is very important nowadays, especially for parents, because I think parents, generally speaking, have no idea what their children are watching on the internet, what type of content they are interacting with, and what that can lead to. Now, obviously, in the show, like, the example of what it can lead to was very extreme, and that thankfully doesn't happen super often. But still, I think parents should be made aware of what's going on online nowadays, and that their children need supervision and need help in like managing this digital world and how it can influence your social life in general. I think this is a very, very important TV show, and there is nothing really negative I can say about it. I watched it in one sitting and cried out loud at the end. There's this scene at the end of the show where the father is kind of like sitting on an empty bed of his son and he's saying, "Sorry that I let you down." This was like pure cinema. I cried. It was amazing. Would recommend. Honestly. On top of that, every episode, from what I understand, was filmed in like a one continuous take, which is obviously incredibly difficult to do, but it adds to that authenticity of the show. The actors were impeccable, like every single one of them was just great. honestly, there's nothing bad to say about the show. It's going into the S tier, and I hope you watched it, and if you haven't, you definitely should. And the last show I'm going to put into the S tier is The Rehearsal. Season 1 came out in 2022, but season 2 came out this year, and I'm really happy to say that it was actually better than the first season. Now, this show also isn't like incredibly popular, which is surprising to me because it's very fun, it's very interesting, and it makes you think. Anyway, season 1 is about Nathan, who is conducting almost like social experiments, trying to prepare people for like very important conversations or some big things happening in their life. But season 2 takes this concept a lot further. In this one, Nathan tries to tackle plane crashes by arguing that communication problems are actually the root cause for those crashes. Even though the main focus of the season is on aviation problems, it also touches on a lot of different subjects. For example, mental health, especially anxiety and autism, and the stigma around them. What I like most about the show is how it plays on the line of being real and fake, because Nathan plays himself but like not really. He also organizes a singing contest that is and isn't a contest at the same time. And when I finished watching it, I was thinking a lot about how there is like no objective reality, and we make reality by like interpreting different things happening to us, which isn't the main focus of the show. So maybe that was just me, but what I really like about the show is that it's funny, it's interesting, and it makes you think about some random stuff. So I would putting it in the S tier and would recommend to anyone. Now I want to talk about two shows which were also very good, but I guess not as good, so they are going into the A tier. The first one is Long Story Short, which is an animated show that comes from the producers of, or the creators of BoJack Horseman. And as a huge Horseman fan, I obviously had to watch it. It has 11 short episodes, and this is another show that I watched in one sitting. It follows a dysfunctional family across the years, and it shows, relationship dynamics between people. It's honestly very interesting. Like, the relationship dynamics are maybe not like super deep, but definitely super interesting. It's very moving and the animation is very nice. I like this style of animation, so I would honestly recommend it very much. The second show that's going into the A tier is Black Mirror Season 7. Like, probably not a great surprise to anyone, but I really like the season. I like episode 1, in which there is like a poor marriage that's trying to get the state-of-the-art healthcare, and this is a very moving and disturbing story. I also really liked the 4th episode, which is about this like gamer murderer, and the murder has like a very interesting ending. I guess I don't really want to spoil it for you. Black Mirror, as always, makes you think about the world we live in and the future that awaits us. It's a great continuation of the story. Would recommend going into the A tier. And as an honorable mention, I would like to put What We Do in the Shadows in the A tier as well. As an honorable mention, because its last season premiered in December of 2024, so it was over a year ago. Anyway, it's a great comedy TV show. It's about vampires who live in New York City. It's really funny and it's kind of different. The characters are obviously eccentric because they are vampires, It's really funny. I would really recommend it. Now in B tier, I'm going to put Rick and Morty Season 8 and Wednesday Season 2. Good continuations of the stories. Nothing really stood out to me. So if you liked the previous seasons, you're probably going to like the new seasons, but there is just nothing, incredible about them. In the B tier, I would also put House of Guinness. This show follows the Guinness family and their beer empire. It has very much like a Peaky Blinders vibe, so if you liked that one, you're probably going to like House of Guinness as well. It was a little boring at times, but generally speaking, I liked it. I would also put Haunted House in the B tier. It's an animated show about a single mom, her 2 kids, and her ghost brother trying to run a hotel haunted by probably hundreds of ghosts. It is really funny. It's a bit eccentric. I would recommend it to people who enjoyed Rick and Morty. It's not the same, but I would recommend it. Then we have The Diplomat, which dropped season 3 around 2 months ago, so not that long ago. It's a TV show about, well, a diplomat, a US diplomat who lives in the UK, or at least that's what her role is at the beginning of the show in season 1. I don't really want to spoil it for you, so I don't want to tell you who she ends up being in season 3. I really like the show. If you generally enjoy like the political shows, you're going to like it. Although for me, like, character dynamics are way more interesting than the politics itself, but maybe that's because I'm not like a huge politics person, I guess. And the last show in the B tier is The Residence, which is a mini show about a murder in the White House. It's got an eccentric investigator, a lot of people who could have done it, and the show just follows the entire investigation. And to be honest with you, the ending is very surprising. Like, I tried to guess who it was and I thought I had it spot on, and I didn't guess it. It was someone else. So if you like, this kind of like eccentric comedy type crime shows, then you're going to like The Residence. Now, in the C tier, I have 3 TV shows that weren't that great, but they were amazing second screen shows. So I would turn them on when I was like playing a game on my phone or like cleaning, and it was like playing in the background. The first one is Billionaire's Bunker, a Spanish TV show about, again, you guessed it, a bunch of billionaires hiding from nuclear war in a luxury bunker. Now, I really liked the premise of this show, especially since throughout the season we find out that the bunker staff isn't entirely truthful with the billionaires. It's very similar to La Casa del Papel, so if you liked that one, you're probably going to like Billionaire's Bunker as well. I would honestly put it in the B tier if it wasn't so corny, like especially with the like romantic relationships and all that. It's really corny, like I couldn't stand it at times. But I'm probably going to watch season 2, so still would recommend it. In the C tier, I would also put 4 Seasons, which I thought was a mini series, but I'm pretty sure it was renewed for a second season. The show follows a group of 6 friends and explores their relationship dynamics. It's funny, the cast is great, and the relationships are interesting. It's just lacking something for me. I think it's kind of shallow and they could have gone a lot deeper if they wanted to. It's kind of giving like Hallmark movie vibes, but still a very light and nice watch, and I would recommend it. And the last show is Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, which is a spin-off of Young Sheldon, which is a spin-off of Big Bang Theory. It dropped its second season this year. It's a very typical sitcom set in Texas in the 90s. The story is really thin, and unfortunately it has a laugh track, which I absolutely despise, but the characters are likable and it's something very light and nice to watch. So if you enjoyed Young Sheldon, you're going to like this one as well, unless you despise the laugh track as much as I do. And that concludes my list of best and worst shows of this year. I hope I gave you something to watch, and I honestly would love to hear from you. What are you watching? What did you watch this year? Because I don't know what to watch next. Honestly, I'm thinking about watching Severance because I heard really great things about it, or maybe The Paper. So if you've seen it, let me know in the comments if it's worth it, and obviously don't forget to subscribe.